Hurricane Ida is gone, but the disaster remains. Tonight, we talk about what's happening from a federal and a local level. U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy is at the desk. Let's get it started. Roll it, Ed. All right, here we go. Well, it's been one interesting 7-day cycle. People across Louisiana are talking about the devastation left behind by Hurricane Ida. Now we rebuild. It's what we do in Louisiana. We're pretty tough. I think we're the toughest of all 50 states because we can take a punch and keep standing. And let's talk about what is happening next. Our guest in studio is U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy, and I know that you have been around Louisiana. First of all, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I know that you have been around Louisiana, meeting with citizens here. As a U.S. Senator, the entire state is your constituency, and I want to get to the storm stuff. But obligatory question I've got to ask, because we can't get to anything that's going on now before talking about what happened before. And that, of course, starts with the impeachment vote and how you voted against then President Trump. Just tell me about that vote, how you came to that decision, all about it.
Well, the issue was that President Trump try and prevent the constitutional transfer of power. The Constitution says you transfer power. Did he try and interrupt it? And when you sat there for 2 days listening to the testimony, it's pretty clear he did. And so with that in mind, that's how I voted.
What particular part of what you heard drew you to the conclusion that you had to vote the way that you did?
Was there a motive? Of course, he wished to prevent it. Was there evidence that he was attempting to? Yes, he was calling senators, even after the rioters broke into the Capitol, he was calling senators, asking them to vote against the certification of the vote. And even after he would have been told that Vice President Pence's was being evacuated because Secret Service was concerned his life was in danger, he was tweeting things that would further excite people to be angry against Vice President Pence. And when he was explicitly asked, would you please ask these people to leave, he did not for another 2 hours, using, if you will, the presence of the rioters to attempt to influence further. And I could go further. The fact that some folks use as a defense that his allegations of the election was stolen, but both Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, under oath or in documents submitted to the court, have both said that's not true. Giuliani and Powell both say it's not true.
When you hear some of the quotes and claims made about irregularities and all of that, what's your response?
They've been thoroughly investigated by Republicans and by courts and have found not to be there. And I'll go back to Giuliani and Powell both saying, Sidney Powell both saying that it just wasn't true.
Right.
But the latest was something out of Arizona, a 36-page document written by a Republican registrar of voters when he goes through what happened. And the Republican registrar of voters says it's not true. Mm-hmm. And the state Senate, Republican state Senate audit has found not sufficient irregularities to overturn the election.
What is your response to all of this? I see you on social media and posts about things happening in Washington. We're going to get to the infrastructure bill a little bit later on. But you are savaged by people in the comment section, many of them Republicans, calling you a rhino, saying you're a turncoat, all those things. Ed's telling me in my ear, I got 30 seconds, so you're going to have a couple minutes to think about that answer. We're talking with U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy about what's happening across Louisiana. We'll get off this topic and get to the thing that I know is affecting so many households across our state, and that's rebuilding after this storm. Enjoy these beautiful pictures on a beautiful Friday in Baton Rouge. You're watching The Clay Young Show on WBRZ+. Dr. Cassidy is in his second term in the U.S. Senate. As we were going to break, Senator, I was asking you about the feedback you were getting from people on social media. And then, if I may add to that, people that you may encounter as you visit groups across the state. Folks are angry. What's your response to all the angry folks out there?
First, there's a lot of folks who actually either agree with the vote or they applaud me for courage. They say, we know that you had 8 hours to listen to the testimony, and you made a decision with facts that we don't all have. Thank you for doing that. There's some folks who are angry, and all I can say is the oath of office is to support and defend the Constitution. And if someone attempts to prevent the constitutional transfer of power, then the oath of office says this is what I must do. By the way, I do think many folks who are angry, if they had the same access to the facts as I, would agree. It's just that they don't have that access. They're passionate. They care about our country. I'm okay with that. We do have common ground, and that is we all agree that we should support and defend the Constitution.
Let's talk about this hurricane now. It made landfall 16 years to the day after Hurricane Katrina and waylaid a big chunk of our Gulf Coast. Where have you been? What have you seen? Talk me through the last few days.
Been down to the Bayou, been down to Lafitte and the rest of Jefferson Parish and into Orleans, over on the North Shore. People forget about the North Shore. French Settlement and Port Vincent, they've been hammered. They've been really hammered. But the rest of the North Shore affected as well. And then down to the river parishes, down to Laplace, for example. So we're still touring. We'll be back to the Bayou tomorrow, try and get down to the river parishes on Monday. We're continuing to look at it, trying to figure out what we can do to make that situation better for the folks who are there.
So when people see members of Congress, and the president visited last week as well, go to these damaged areas, what are you looking for? What are you hoping to see? And then how does that in turn become some assistance for the people who've gone through this?
I'm listening to people,
okay, because
when you listen, you get their concerns.
Okay.
So, for example, was down there, met with the mayor of Grand Isle and a shrimp fisherman. He goes, listen, our boats are in Bayou Lafourche. They can't get out of Bayou Lafourche because of all the obstructions. We think we can get around them. Please help us. The Coast Guard's doing this, the Corps' doing that. So we get on the phone and we get a commitment from the Corps that they are going to get the dollars to the Navy to begin to clear it out. Another fellow said, listen, I'm nervous. We are unable to file electronically our withholding tax. My wife does the books, she's nervous, so how do we make sure we don't get busted? Turns out the IRS already has that. We researched it and put it out there. So you listen to what people's concerns are, and then you move it out. We also are going to have a huge need for housing. And 25% of the houses in Lafourche, I'm told, are no longer livable. And if you go down to the south portion, it's more than 25%. It's interesting. There are some that have been built to code. They came through beautifully. It is the older homes that are not.
Right.
We've got to think how to have affordable housing for regular families going forward that can withstand another hurricane.
Well, you see that the East Baton Rouge Parish Metro Council just adjusted that and made it in concrete that if you're going to build new construction, it's got to be able to withstand a 100-year storm, right? So the structure has to be able to handle rising water. We've seen all this water, and then some of the wind that we have been getting. Is that something that can be uniformed across the state, and that you could say, look, we need to make certain that construction can withstand these storms that we've been getting?
So post-Katrina, those standards were put into place.
Okay.
And if you go down to Grand Isle, even Grand Isle, where they have new construction built to code, those homes are still standing. They did well. And like the only things that are still standing.
But is it uniformed for the most part in that area?
It's in coastal regions.
Okay.
And so if you're in Shreveport, you have a lower standard than if you're in coastal, right? Makes sense.
Yeah.
So Baton Rouge would be somewhere in between.
Right.
But we need to have that. It helps lower the insurance rates, as an example, but it gives durability. Now it's more expensive to build. So if you're going to build a little bit more expensively, you're either going to accept less room in the home, or you're going to figure out some other way to help homeowners afford it.
Right.
That's what we got to figure out. By the way, that's one of the things my staff is working on in D.C., not just for this area, Southwest Louisiana,
Right.
still hurting a year later from those hurricanes.
Senator, I spoke with someone yesterday who lives in Lake Charles, and they're still dealing with the aftermath of last year because we've got these storms and all these weather things that have happened, and the pandemic, which still makes it difficult to conduct your business in the way that you did before. We got a little less than a minute, and then we'll come back. What was the worst hit area that you saw in your travels?
Lafitte, Port Vincent, French Settlement, and Grand Isle, Leeville, everything that's coastal, either on the Gulf Coast or in the case of Port Vincent and French Settlement on Lake Maurepas. Boy, that wind came, just socked them.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk with Senator Cassidy more about some of the damage. Electricity. Everybody's got these questions about the electricity grids and what's happening in the aftermath of that storm. We'll come back with U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy in just a moment.
Now, how do you know which one is on?
I know every person watching me is glad to be watching me because this time last week you probably couldn't do it because you had no electricity. We're going to come right back to that with U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy. Man, some people just got power in the last day or so. Some people still don't have power and won't have it for another week or so. The storm was gone, but the heat and the powerless houses, homes, it remained. What are we doing about electricity grids across Louisiana?
First, we need to restore electricity for folks as fast as possible.
Yeah.
When I was in Lafourche, as well as over in French Settlement, I saw lots of trucks out there getting it reestablished.
Yeah.
So hats off to the utility companies. Then we got to figure out how to make it resilient.
Yeah.
If we know the levees worked, the ground is dry. Next step is we need to know that the electricity works, that it doesn't go out for weeks at a time every time we have a big storm.
And the trees come down, and some of these grids are so old and antiquated. And Katrina was in 2005, okay, 16 years ago. You would think that there would be some upgrade in technology to not repeat this 16 years later. What can we do about it? I know that there's a portion of your infrastructure bill that addresses it, and we'll talk about that more later, but how does that address this?
So there's billions for resiliency. And first we need to figure out what failed, where did it fail.
Okay.
So some of the big steel structures did, but by and large they did okay.
Yeah.
But the distribution lines and then the lines into someone's home, those are the ones that tended to fail, unless they were buried.
Right.
If they're buried, then it worked. So it may be we have a hybrid system where big transmission lines, okay, they seem to do okay, except maybe here and there. but the distribution lines and the homes, they're the ones that failed. Maybe that's what we need to invest in.
Okay.
And there's billions to do it.
So if, let's just say on the hypothetical, your bill passes and you're able to get to work on this, and I know it's a long, arduous process, at what point do you start seeing us change in majority from where we are now to the technology we need?
Well, you know, the old saying, there are the two best times to plant an oak tree, 50 years ago and today. So I can't tell you, oh, don't worry, 6 months from now we're golden.
Right.
But if we don't start,
Yeah.
and we have a big storm 16 years from now,
Right.
Date to date, just like we did this time,
Yeah.
we're going to fail once more.
16 years from now, 16 days from now, we'd be even more compromised if we got another storm in the Gulf because we're still in hurricane season.
And by the way, there's other things that we can do. There's also billions for a so-called distributed grid. For those folks who want to have solar panels, you know, you can maintain power in your house with the solar panels that are absorbing. It won't power your Tesla.
Yeah.
You're still going to need gasoline because
Right.
it doesn't have that much power, but it powers your air conditioning. So we can think about a distributed grid, but those wires need to be hardened as well. And it won't be done for 16 days from now, but it will be done at some point in time if we start now.
Let's talk about what people are dealing with in the aftermath of the storm. There's some people who are trying to get assistance from FEMA right now because they're in dire straits, people who are on the bubble even before this storm. And I'll couple with that dealing with the insurance companies, which can be its own nightmare. How can you give assistance to the people who are just trying to put their lives back together?
So you've got a couple things bedded in there. If there's an issue with FEMA, contact our office. Now, I'm told that you have the kind of runner telling folks where they can email to sign up for individual assistance.
Right.
And in fairness to FEMA, they're pushing a lot of money out there, number one. Number two, if you need housing right now, there are shelters across our state, and people in Louisiana and folks from elsewhere are doing a wonderful job caring for those who don't have homes right now.
Right.
But going forward, if you need help, call our office. Our phone number, 225-929-7711. 225-929-7711. Our website, cassidy.senate.gov. Going on the insurance companies.
My goodness.
That is a state-regulated entity. But Jim Donnellan, for example, got on the phone. Now the insurance companies are covering evacuation expenses.
Yeah.
Some were saying we don't have to because it wasn't mandatory. It wasn't mandatory because the storm was so fast
Right.
that parish presidents say shelter in place.
But those are the kinds of things that frustrate people.
Yeah.
You pay your insurance bill, you expect when you need them they're going to be there, instead of having to be in a cage fight just to get what you are paying for.
Well, the Department of Insurance, there's an ombudsman,
Okay.
Which you can go to DOI or something like that, .la.gov,
Yeah.
and go to there and register your complaint.
Yeah.
Believe me.
And what do they do when you register your complaint?
Well, as an example, Donnellan just got them to cover evacuation expenses. So that makes a difference.
Okay.
Jim Donnellan is an elected official.
Yeah, he is.
He listens to constituents. Otherwise, he won't be reelected.
Maybe we'll put his number on the screen next week to see what's going on. All right, so we're going to come back and talk with Dr. Cassidy about this big infrastructure bill that promises to bring jobs and some evolving of our infrastructure to Louisiana. More on that in just a moment. I want to talk with Dr. Cassidy about his infrastructure bill that is moving through Congress right now. But before we do that, this show is airing the day before the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. And I wanted to ask your thoughts on that. This is while you were still in Louisiana. You had not yet gone up to the House of Representatives. Your thoughts on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Where were you? And just kind of talk to me about that.
Distinctly remember where I was. I was about to get on the interstate to go north to Earl K. Long Hospital. I was still practicing medicine then, and turned on the radio, and they're saying, how could a plane have hit it? One had already hit. Was there some problem? No, it was a beautiful day. And then they said, oh my gosh, another plane has hit. And that's, I can remember the traffic light where I was. And that has initiated an incredibly brave chapter in our nation's history, where young men and women, whether in the military, in the clandestine services, as contractors, you name it, have made a real effort to keep our country safe, and they have.
Yep.
Just hats off to them, which doubly kind of brings into relief what President Biden just did, withdrawing from Afghanistan in the most catastrophic way, in a way which does not take away from the valor of our men in uniform, our women in uniform, but certainly, I think, was a retreat from the progress we had made in terms of the ongoing and for quite some time ongoing battle against terrorism.
What do you think could have been done differently?
Well, first you have to ask, should we have left? And this may not be popular, but we had only 2,500 troops at the end. We've got 10,000 troops in Japan, or maybe 60,000, I think. We have many more than that in Germany, many more than that in South Korea. We had a small number of troops supporting the Afghani army, who was keeping everything under control. When we withdrew with our contractors, they collapsed. When we were there, they were supported. With that, we're able to monitor terrorism. We're able to have a listening station on Iran and a listening station on China. It was a strategic position with no loss of life for quite some time and minimal numbers of troops. I actually think it was strategic to have stayed there. But if you're going to withdraw, then you could withdraw differently. For example, we pulled the contractors supporting the Afghani Air Force. The Army was doing so well because they had air superiority. Once they couldn't use their aircraft, well, they lost air superiority, they began to collapse. I don't think it could have been managed worse if President Biden had said, let's really screw it up. Their planning was poor, their execution was poor, and at the end we left Americans behind. We should all be angry.
How do you manage the two realities of that? Look, it's been widely considered not well done bipartisanly. You've heard people on both sides have a problem with it, but at the same time, you've got a war-weary nation that's ready to have its people home. So how do you blend those two realities?
You reframe the argument. We were not at war. We had not had a troop die for quite some time. We had a stationary force providing security as the Afghani army was there. But with that, let's just be honest. We probably had a big CIA station, again, monitoring Western Pakistan, where lots of terrorists are, monitoring Iran, as well as monitoring China. Mm-hmm. So we got these big intelligence stations around the world. There's a reason we've been safe since 2020. Since 9/11, is because we've got this intelligence community monitoring. We've just lost those ears and eyes that were forwardly placed.
I got a couple of minutes left, so I want to spend all of them talking about this infrastructure bill. What is it? How does it work? And why should people support it?
Yeah, we should support this bill because we see what resiliency does. When we are in New Orleans or Jefferson Parish and the ground is dry, those levees kept us resilient. This money has more money for levees. This bill has more money for levees. Money for coastal restoration, for flood mitigation, prioritizing states hit by natural disasters in the last 6 years, prioritizing states with recent flooding. That's us. There's $65 billion so that every American has access to broadband, to high-speed internet. Mm-hmm. I've learned that's important because the federal, state, and local communicate life-saving messages via social media. Right. So that's part of our emergency response. There's $9.5 billion for floods, for ports and waterways. That's the lifeblood of Louisiana's economy. $800 million for the Mississippi River and tributary system. $50 million to restore Lake Pontchartrain. Normally over 5 years they'd get $5 million. This gives them $50 million to restore Lake Pontchartrain.
I've got less than 30 seconds left. I'm sure we'll put it on, but how can people learn quickly more about this bill or read some of what it has in it?
If they go to cassidy.senate.gov, my last name Cassidy.senate, like United States Senate.gov, they will find a banner, and you can come down with a series of one-pagers. It'll give you myths versus facts, who's endorsed, for example, U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and the provisions that can benefit our state.
All right. U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy, will you come back?
Absolutely, sir.
All right. You guys have a great weekend. Look at this weather. Get out. Enjoy it. If you have a convertible, man, you're lucky. See you next week.